So Richard, what's punk marketing?
Punk marketing is about people in marketing who sell for a living, understanding control, that the consumers are in control right now. And the bottom line is that everything has changed, and we know that. But we decided, Mark Simmons, my co-author, and I decided that we were going to put matters back into the hands of marketers who would now do things to rejigger their relationship with consumers. Because the bottom line is that right now, first time ever, it's never going to change, it's not like it's trendy, we as consumers, we know everything. So for you as a salesperson to say, this is the greatest, this is the coolest, I'm the cheapest, it doesn't matter anymore because people already know that. So what's the differentiator? What's the one thing that's going to unnerve the consumer? And punk, as everybody knows, in the 70s was a musical taste that beat the crap out of the music industry that was very dormant and sedentary in the 70s. And we thought, let's do that to the marketing industry because we know, Mark ran, the Crispin Porter Boguski agency out on the West Coast. Mark's been,
that part, please.
Yes, please. Mark's done a lot of work in advertising. I'm, this PR monkey buck. We've got together and we said, why are so many people in marketing unhappy? And what can we do to sort of, punk it up?
So Richard, is this CRM in a leather jacket with a cell phone, or is it
CRM with a
in a leather
tattoo
jacket
and
with
an earring and a tattooed belly button?
Hands, yeah.
Yeah, and also it's the objective here is that we did it with as many chapters and as many sidebars and as much short attention span of material as we could. We also want to give people like the advice from others, like how others have done it, how others have failed, and our idea is that we want to point out one thing that if your consumer is walking down the street and he sees a billboard, he doesn't wait to go to the cocktail party at the office to comment on it. He does it right then and there. He blogs, text messages, phones his friends. It's all happening instantly. You got to deal with that, and any size business has to be dealing with that right now, and that's what punk marketing is about.
So Richard, that brings up an interesting point. We're having Andrew Keene speak, and he's just written a book about Web 2.0 and all of these conversations essentially going on that have sort of cluttered up, mucked up the pipes for traditional marketers like you and myself. Mm-hmm. So comment on that. How does punk liaise with that particular thing? Should it be a separate conversation? Should there be a Web 3.0?
No, I call it Web $2.99, $2.99, Web 2.99. The truth is that Web 2.0 is a terrific tagline, but the web is always evolving. So what's happening right now is everybody is trying to find the model that works best for them. The only thing that is really, in my estimation, is really selling are the people that sidle up to their customers. I don't care how they do it, whether it's through phone marketing, whether it's a notebook ad, it doesn't matter what it is. They go up to their customer and they say, okay, what do you want? What do you want from me, and how can I give it to you? It's not, I'm so great, I'm telling you this because you're coming to my website and you can click on a button and balloons pop up. It's bullshit. Bottom line is blogs are great for one reason alone. It's not, gee, my name's Richard, I had eggs for breakfast today, and eggs aren't so good for me. All that stuff. It's the information that we've got, that marketers that have about our whatever product we're selling, that people can read about and go, wow, that's inspiring me. Now I have to know more about this. That's what a blog is, and that's what Web 2.0 has done. It allows consumers to talk about what they want. It allows us as marketers to talk about what we want. It's like Barney. We're a big happy family.
Now, Richard, we're referring to a lot of mobile connection devices.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on the history of the future for, say, the desktop machine, our old friend? I mean, as we have smartphones that get smaller, and we have PDAs that get smaller, and laptops that get smaller, we're seeing kind of a metamorphosis of a one smart enabled device. Why should we be tethered to anything?
We're not going to be tethered, and the truth is 15 years ago when we were all working on electric typewriters, and people were saying, oh, well, now we're going to have our computers and our Tandies are going to be on our machine, on our desk. And we were saying, well, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. We'll always have a use for that. It's the same thing now. I mean, the desktop is going away, and the reason it's going away is because the idea of officing, which isn't really a word, but I like to use it, at a desk doesn't make sense for anybody. We're always on the road. We're always going somewhere. In an office space, we're going from desk to desk. We're not at our desk. I mean, I have a desktop, and I look at it every now and then, and I think, I wish that you weren't here. So it's going. What is going to happen is that it isn't so much going to be the iPhone or any of these crazy devices. I think all that stuff is neat. What is going to be a sort of virtual reality where you'll have your typewriter, but it will be done through, glass that look very much like this, and you will take it with you everywhere you go, because it'll just be a chip. And the chip will be fillable, and it'll be just like any other device. It's not going to happen like the Jetsons. It's going to be very evolutionary, just like anything else that we've done. The typewriter, I was in an office today, I saw a typewriter, I said to this client of mine, what do you use that for? Contracts.
That's my own.
Well, that's because you were taken kicking and screaming to all of this.
Now, Richard, this brings up another point. There was a movie made about 1967 or 68. It was Dennis Coburn. It was a kind of a spoof Bond type of secret agent, and at the end of the movie, he's captured by an organization that represents the utter evil to the kind of open-minded, liberal filmmakers who made this movie in the 60s. And that particular organization was the phone company. And they had a plan that he had to stop with machine guns and smoke grenades and everything else. The plan was to take a phone and implant it in everyone's head. And everyone would at that point have a number for life and be completely interconnected. And back in 1968, that was considered a dystopian nightmare.
Well, the dystopian
What's your
nightmare,
feeling on that today? Because it sounds like you kind of embrace the idea. Maybe many people would. I don't know.
I
Things
think
change.
the idea of connectivity is not as scary as it was in the 60s. What we're dealing with now is a need for knowledge. Because in the 60s, you were kind of satisfied with just knowing enough. You had your daily newspaper, you had, Dan Rather or Walter Cronkite, you had somebody who gave you information. After what's happened after the dot-com boom, people are now like, wait a minute, I can go to the Library of Congress, I can download porn, I can get information, I can find out where Steve Lundin's love life, I can get anything I want. And that is never going to change. There's never going to be a moment where people go, okay, enough. What is the problem is connectivity that is brought to you by, like in other words, sponsored content or content that has nothing to do with, Sprint or whoever brings it to you, where they become the bringer of that content. That's the problem, because people want to know that it's agnostic, that what they're getting is, it's not that it's coming from journalists, this is not what it's about, that it's coming from people who actually know what the fuck they're talking about. And that chip could be in your ear, could be in your eye, it doesn't matter. But the minute it gets sullied by marketers who just want to sell you because that's what they do for a living, that's when people take the chip and go, doctor, remove it. That's my dystopia.
So Richard Laermer says that everybody should have a chip in their head.
Well, everybody should have a chip on their shoulder.
Matching.
A matching chip. And you know what? It should be diamond encrusted, but a
It
good diamond, not a blood diamond.
It could be in your tooth.
No,
then.
no, because what happens when your tooth falls out?
Athletes
No.
deal with that all the time.
I know.
Diamond tooth.
The diamond tooth.
There we go.
I love it. Diamond
Now
tooth.
we have one more question, Richard. With all this aggregation of information, personal data that seems to be floating around, isn't it possible that some people may decide that they want to move off the grid and not have every single aspect of their life photographed, uploaded, commented on, blogged on, shared with the IRS, shared with telcos, shared with marketers like ourselves, share with anybody who can buy a data list, hack a data list, get attached to a data list, find a data list, Google a data list.
Well, wait.
What about people who might
Off
be
the
moving
grid.
away
Off
from
the,
this?
off the grid term that I hear all the time, it's unrealistic for anybody that's in business. Now, if you're an artist and you don't want to be, you basically don't want to make money, you're just doing it for dribs and drabs, it's great. But if you have any touch of business, and business right now is, 90% of all businesses are service businesses. So if you're an artist who also does graphic design on the side, you can't be off the grid. So it's unrealistic. There are people who claim they have no cell phone, I know a guy in Canada who says, I don't, he's
They're so rare, they're
uncluttered mind.
atypical people.
But he claims that he can do it, but he's Canadian. So Canadians can do that sort of thing because, it's acceptable behavior. In America today, if you have even a scintilla of business in your blood, and this is me talking about business, you can't decide one day that you no longer want the information about yourself to be out there, because guess what? You just spent 15 or 8 years or 9 years giving it away. It's not like you can go and maybe this will be the business that you and I should start. We'll go and we'll clean everybody's
Now you're
records.
talking.
And
Scrubbers.
Scrubber. Now we're talking. Our man Flint, 2008.
Scrubber.
I love it.
Yes.
We will go out there and we will stop the phone company from taking us down. Sounds like Lily Tomlin should have a cameo.
There we go. Richard Laermer, punk marketing, buy it, don't get it free.